Bezras Hashem Yisparach Erev Shabbos Kodesh Parashat Korach Shnas Tov Shian Pei Beis. Korach, what did Korach able to do? Korach, if you look at the name Korach, the gematria is 308. 308 is the same gematria as Sach, Shian, Ches, which means speech. The whole parasha, which is called Parashat Korach, is to teach us the power of speech, the power of what a person is able to do through speaking and gossiping, and that's what Korach. This was parasha is the same gematria Korach as Sach, which means to speak and speech. The Kleyoko goes even further to say that if you look at the name Korach, Kuf Reish Ches. So what does it signify? Kuf Reish Ches. So it signifies as follows, that David HaMelech in Tehillim Nun Zayin, it says that when he describes people who speak Lashon Hara, so he says as follows, B'nei Odom Shineyem Chanis V'chitzim, people whose teeth are spears and arrows, U'leshoinom Cherev Chado, and their tongues are sharp swords. This is how David HaMelech, Perek Nun Zayin, Posuk Hey, describes people who speak Lashon Hara. Again, B'nei Odom Shineyem, their teeth, Chanis V'chitzim, are like spears and arrows. U'leshoinom, and their tongues are as sharp as swords. Says the holy Kleyoko, Korach as well stands for all these ammunition, like it says. Korach Rosh Tevos, Keshes, Kuf is Keshes, which means bows and arrows. Reish is roimach, spears, and ches is cherev, a sword. Just like David HaMelech says, B'nei Odom Shineyem Chanis V'chitzim U'leshoinom Cherev Chado. So Korach is to teach us that speech, the Parashat Korach, which is gematria 308, which is the same gematria as Sach, which means to speak, and speech has a power like arrows, spears, and a sharp sword. So the power of machloikas. There is a great lesson to learn from the Rosh. The Rosh, one of the great Rishonim, lived over 1,000 years ago in Europe, and he wrote Seforim on the Shas. But as well, he wrote a sefer called Orchos Chaim LeRosh, which the Rosh gives ideas and principles person should live by to be able to live with midos tovos. So as the Orchos Chaim the Rosh, one of the points that he says is, do not mix into a machloikus, because if you mix into machloikus, then the Bale machloikus will one day yashlimu b'neihem, they will bring peace amongst themselves. But va'ato tisher bekas, but you will join the machloikus, you will always stay angry. Again, the Rosh says, do not join people who are Bale Machloikas, people arguing, because if you join an argument, then in the end, the two people which started the argument will bring peace amongst themselves, but you will stay bekas. And the question is, why will I stay angry if the Bale Machloikas are living peacefully together? The Rosh says you will stay angry even if they are living peacefully together. Why? Why when people who join the machloikas, they will stay bekas, whereas the actual Bale machloikas are found shalom between themselves. So explains, the holy Reb Motche Miller from Gateshead explains from Ravin from Novardok Yeshiva, Reb Zaychuk, he said as follows. It says in Ovos, the Mishnayos Ovos says as follows: Kol ahava sheteluya b'dovo, botl hadovor, botl ahava. Any love which is dependent on something, then when that disappears, then the love as well disappears. But ahava she'einot tluya b'dovo, then ze kayam lo'olam. A love which isn't dependent on something, this will stay forever. It's everlasting. So says Reb Zaychuk from the Vadok that the same idea is sinner with hatred is the same idea like ahava. Sinner sheteluya bedovor, Bottle hadover, bottle hasinna. If there's hate, but there's a reason to the hate, it is dependent on something, then the minute that they come to a settlement, there is no more hate. Generally, Bale Machloikas, what starts a Machloikas? That he says, this man owes me money, this man caused me damage. So they go to Beis Din, and they do a pshara, they reach a settlement, and then there's no more hate, because it's a hate which was caused, and there's a reason to that hate. May be exaggerated, the reason, they make all Machloikas, but nevertheless, they can come to a settlement, and the minute the reason is cancel, they bring to a pishora and a settlement, then they will be able to live b'sholem v'achva together. But if it's a hate, sheinot kliya b'dovo, if somebody hates someone for no reason, then it's a hatred which stays forever. It's an everlasting. These are the people who join the machloikas. Why are you joining the machloikas? Did this man take from you something? Does he owe you money? Did he damage your property? No. You're just joining because a hatred which has no reason to it. When it's a hatred, she'inot tluya b'davar, then it's a hatred which stays forever. And this is the idea, says Orchos Chaim the Rosh. Amazing to understand how the Rosh Rishonim were able to see the people, the nature of a person. That there are Bali Machloikas, but there are as well the people who join Machloikas. And the Bali Machloikas may one day settle their argument. But because the hatred of the people who joined the Machloikas was for no reason, just because the hatred, the person doesn't owe him any money, he didn't take from him anything, and nevertheless you joined the Machloikas, then such a hatred will stay in the person's heart for everlasting. That's a great danger of joining the Machloikas. That's what it said in the Parashat. He bodlu mitoicho edu azois. The Rebbeinu Shem said, number one, run away from Bali Machloikas. Do not join a Machloikas, because if they were to stay with Korach, then they would have as well had a punishment like Korach. Here's an interesting idea. The Sephon and Rambam says, why is they bodlu mitoicho? Why do they have to separate themselves from Korach? Because when Korach, they knew Korach is now going to die, he's going to be swallowed up in the hole, so people were saying that we can maybe take from his wealth. Maybe we'll be able to take from the wealth of Korach as well. So the Sephona writes and the Ramban writes, Hashem says, do not touch the wealth of Korach. Korach was an immensely wealth man. Do not touch the wealth of Korach, because we don't want that Korach to have a schut, a merit. If we will use the money of Korach, then Korach will have a merit. So Hashem made that all the wealth of Korach will as well be swallowed up in the hole in the ground, because he will not have any merit by people using the wealth of Korach. The Sforno says it's the same idea like a person who loses money on the street, and you should then daven. You lost 200 shekel, maybe lost $100 on the street, so daven should go to somebody who was poor, and he will take the money and use the money for himself, so you will have a merit. Even so, I lost the money, I didn't give him the money, but I'm bi besimcha that somebody poor should use the money, you will as well have a merit for tzedakah. So where Rabbanim say as well, when it comes to tax season, for example, then you should daven, when you give the money to the government, that the money I'm giving should be used by yeshivas, in schools, in koilelim, and it shouldn't be used for stam shtuyot. And therefore, it's a tefillah. So if a person loses money, you can still have a merit. Hashem b'ashkocha protis can be able to arrange that your money should be used in the best way, and you will have as well a merit. I remember when my father, Zichet Tzadik V'Rocha, was nifta, so people were telling my mother, Shashem Yarich Yomer V'Shnaser Batovo V'Ni'imim, they said to her that no one should use the talis and tefillin of my father, because he's still going to be Tchias HaMeisim. So keep the tefillin for my father when he'll come back. But Tchias HaMeisim, keep him the tefillin and the talis. No one should use it. And they said this is what Reb Chaim Kanievsky said. Reb Chaim Kanievsky said, do not use the talis and the tefillin, because soon as Tchias HaMeisim, and leave it for him. So her mother asked me, please go in by Reb Chaim Kanievsky and ask him if it's true So I went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky in the house. I had the schus to go to Heiliger Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zichar Kodesh Livrocha, in his house. He was at the time in his room answering the letters. He had hundreds of letters from all Shas, and he's answering each letter, patience, each shaila. Some shailas he was thinking about it. And then when he had time, I asked him the shaila, what do we do with the talis and tefillin of my father? Because maybe we should keep it. He says, no. He says, give it to somebody to wear the tefillin every day, so it'll be a merit for your father. By using his tefillin, it'll be a merit for the nifter. And this is a great idea that Am Yisrael, Hashem said, from Korach, since Korach was a Rosh, he bodled mitoch. Don't use his money, let the money be swallowed up in the ground, so he won't have a merit. But if somebody, a tzaddik, is nifter, we should use everything he's got. Use a pen, use a watch, use his tefillin, his talis, everything that he's got, because it's that's the whole Indian of Yerusha. Rabbi Victor Miller explains that the idea of Yerusha is that it's a great merit, that the money is being used by the family to continue to do mitzvahs and avodas Hashem. And this is a great merit for the nifter. So we learned today two things from Ibodlu Mitoich Oedo Azois. Number one, we learned the idea of Korach. Korach means Sach, is Gematria 308, like speech. The whole parsha, the title is Korach, teaching us what the power of gossip and rechilos and lashon hara and machlokas can cause. And then we say, I only gossiped, I didn't do anything, I only spoke. But says the Kleyoko, gossip, look what David HaMelech says. David HaMelech says gossip is, how does David HaMelech describe it? It's like a spear, sharp swords and arrows. And that's what Kleyoko says is in the letters of Korach. Korach is Keshes Roi Machanis. Keshes, a bow and arrow, Roimach is a spear, Chanis is a sword. And these are the different, the power of speech is in Korach. And we go on, they're not only Bale Machloikas, but the great Aveira Hashem, people who join Machloikas. The people who join Machloikas is something which is an everlasting hate. Why is it everlasting hate? Because it's a sin'ah she'inot tluya bedavar. It's a sinner which a person joins for no reason. A person didn't gun from, didn't take from you, and therefore it's a sinner which affects the heart of a person. Whereas a Bali Machloikas, there's a reason to the sinner. They're making an argument because he says, I have a claim against you, and therefore it goes to base. Once they settle the claim, then the Machloikas will already disappear. The hate will disappear, because by them it's a hate shetluya bedavar. And then we learned the idea that the money of the nifter is a merit for the nifter if it's used for the good. So by Korach, Hashem did the one they should use. But if somebody's money, even if he lost the money, and somebody finds it and uses it, then you have a merit. You pay tax, you should daven that your money should be used for the good. And same to Yerusha, or anything a person has, mitzvahs from the nifter should be used for the good, to do mitzvahs and avodas Hashem. We deserve to live shulam. Ein kli machzik toiva is brocha, is shalom. Shalom is machzik all the toiva. Like it says, you have a bag full of wealth, but there's a hole in the bag, then all the wealth would fall through the hole. That's machloikas. Shalom makes sure that the kli machzik toiva, that the kli no wealth, you'll be able to have all your wealth. But machloikas, like we see by Korach, causes a hole in the bag, actually caused a hole in the ground, and everything was lost through machloikas. May we zeh to live b'shulam, ahava v'achva v'shulam v'reyos, b'zeicha agita Shabbos, Shabbos, Shulam v'mavoyrach.